Yes, guys, welcome back to the Natural Muscle Podcast. Today's episode, we are going to cover the WNBF Supernaturals, the first Pro-Am show as well. Kicking it off in men's bodybuilding masters over 40. And as expected, the WNBF since 2021, just been growing and growing in popularity, and the standards been growing with that as well. With it being kind of an open international final, get a fair few international athletes over, which is growing, which is great to see. And the standard, as within natural bodybuilding, is growing and growing, and yeah, WNBF certainly highlights that here. And in terms of starting the show off, and a top three, briefly speaking to Finn prior to recording this episode about this top three, who's probably the best top three I've seen in for masters over 40 class. Like, you'd argue with Anthony in third place. Like, he's looked his best yet throughout the season. Phenomenal condition, keeps some muscle, very well shaped. Just up against two very, very good athletes who've brought it even surpassed him there. But yeah, as far as a top three goes in masters over 40 class, this is definitely up there with some of the best. We've got Ute in second place, ran it hard as well. A little bit more bubbly than Anthony in third place. And then Innocent, just, yeah, heaps of muscle. Come in a lot harder than he did for the previous show. The UK show, that was the first time a show, wasn't it? Back in May, June time. I know it was around summertime, isn't it? And yeah, it's coming a lot harder. Heaps of muscle, great shape, great bubbliness to his physique, and wraps off a very, very good top three class in the Masters there. But I think quite a clear winner, which is fair to say, with Innocent, just due to the sheer amount of mass on his frame, really.
Yeah, I'm back, by the way, because obviously I missed the BNBF one, unfortunately. Apologies, was on a stag do, so good to be back on. And it just makes it a bit easier than Luke just going for on his own. So, yeah, really good show overall, WNBF. More of a European international show than an outright British final, just down to the sheer talent and the standard as well. And obviously, many international athletes placed top three. And yeah, we're going off the website because they've got all the results, but it's top three. So if you do miss fourth and fifth, it's not because we're just ignoring you. It's just we're going off this. It's easier. And yeah, Innocent, like, really, really come in. His upper body was in at the first time, but his legs were quite soft. You could tell they had a load of muscle in them. There was not a lot of detail. And obviously he's just kept going and going and going. And sometimes you do see that with, like, Afro-Caribbean lads, I'd say. Like, a lot of them have massive and shredded upper bodies and really bubbly, and then sometimes the legs can be just a bit smooth for lack of sometimes dieting, sometimes it's the muscle mass they haven't got quite there, so it can't get as peeled. And I think sometimes they prefer to stay like bigger and fuller, and obviously to get the legs in you might have to flatten off a little bit, which clearly Innocent hasn't. So credit to him, he just kept dieting through, and they're a big set of quads then. And yeah, I can imagine he probably wasn't a million miles away from the overall, who we'll get on to later in bodybuilding. Yeah, very, very good. And like you say, Uti and Anthony in second and third. Like, Anthony, best ever to come third, and I consider him one of the best masters, like, of the last several years. I can't think of too many who are better than him. And he's come unlucky that he's come second at the BNBF to who's got someone who's now pro, and he's come third today to Uti, who probably is like a European level guy, and Innocent, who's obviously if he goes to Worlds, I imagine he's going to do exceptionally well at Worlds. But I believe Anthony's doing the DFAC show next weekend, so that would be great for him, and hopefully he gets his long-awaited win, because he's really I'm sure he's doing the show anyway. I don't, unless he's not. Yeah, I'm sure he's doing it. I'm sure I saw him putting the tracksuit on his stories. So yeah, he's been a big supporter of the page as well. So to look this good and come third just shows you how good this top three was. And like Luke said, I think it's about as good as it gets. So, what a top three to start the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes to show as well, even you bring your best and up against better athletes, you can't be too disheartened like on the placing, because ultimately if you come in at your best, that's what matters at the end of the day. And that's it, just making strides forward and improving and bringing your best package. It's not just solely on the placings. And then Masters over 50s again, huge talent within this class. With compares we've seen throughout the season and seen throughout previous seasons here as well. Dean Wilson taking first place, which is probably expected after his BNBF showing recently as well. Granite hard, great conditioning, huge arms as well, like standout arms them, particularly in that front double bicep. But yeah, just like, and it's not to say that Luke and Lorne Brown aren't coming sharp and conditioned, but Dean has really brought it there. Really come in like granite hard and really dry, and definitely shone through with his condition as he did previously at BNBF finals. And then Luke in second place, slightly more muscle than Lorne Brown, which probably giving the edge on there. Conditioning wise, pretty similar throughout. But yeah, two great athletes within that class, and I believe that these two were like on another day, things could definitely change around with that. Well, even potentially with the top three if they can all come in as hard as Dean. But yeah, when you come in that hard and bring that condition, definitely get awarded for it. And I think it rounds off a very good look. And yeah, very good season for Dean. Don't know what his plans are from this, but yeah, if he goes on to Worlds after this, it wouldn't be surprised if he gets another top place in there, because yeah, bringing in that condition, that package, very impressive for an over 50s guy for sure.
Yeah, he's clearly one of the best over 50s of recent years. Two British championships in 2 weeks, and his partner also, Sarah. We'll feature later in bikini. She did go on to win her class as well. So we've got a few trophies between them this year. And so fair play. Both prepping at the same time. That must be. I suppose it's probably quite fun actually. In a way, if as long as you're both not too bickery or ratty with the hunger. But yeah, another fantastic showing. I don't really see him being beaten. I mean, the only over 50s who comes to mind straight away who's like his level would be Andy Palmer. And I mean, who's won every title you can imagine. So maybe he could, those two would be a really good battle. But apart from that, like Lorne, who is a British champion this year at the MPA, and he's an exceptional grandmasters. To come third in this just shows how good these two are, particularly Dean and Luke. Again, been competing several years. It's a name I recognise, so him to get second. And yeah, I know they offered invites out to most of the top threes and sometimes top fives in this show. So I imagine they'll be taking or hoping to take a large team to Boston. And if Dean goes, I'm sure they will be, he'll be coming home with something. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if WNBF World actually does an over 50s. I think all the masters are together. I seem to think that they're all together. I might be incorrect. Maybe we do a 40s and a 50s, but we don't do junior or
No, they don't do
T.
junior anymore, so it would make sense if it's just a masters class in there as well.
Yeah, so he could be in with the Innocent and Anthony should they go, and but he'd more than hold his own, like you say, absolutely peeled, and it's the kind of peeled you can only really get when you're a bit older, because you've got that old man muscle, so to speak. So yeah, he's very good, Dean, and I don't know if he'll be doing the show tomorrow, because at the time of recording, this is the Saturday of the UK FBA finals weekend. So if he is, I imagine he'll be making it 3 out of 3.
Yeah, if he is doing it, it's definitely likely there. And then we go from some of the oldest in the show to some of the youngest in the show, but doesn't come as much as a surprise that you're looking at William Richardson with probably well, up there with the most muscle still in the show, for a young lad as well. Incredible physique, and this is rounding off a incredible top three. I believe, from obviously seeing people at the show and seeing things on social media and stuff, that it was a good battle between first and second, with two very kind of apple and oranges physiques, with William and Presley Boyd in second place. Presley come in with great conditioning shown for particularly for a team bodybuilder. But when you're up against an athlete of William's stature, particularly in this front lat spread there, he's just very overpowering and dominating with his width, his density, his bubbler. He looks pretty complete top to toe as well, which is very rare to see, particularly in a younger athlete. But yeah, very well rounded, and a name that is well recognised throughout the season, and I'm sure it will be well recognised for years to come within the sport, whether he stays within the natural realm or he goes assisted. I'm sure it's a well, he'll go far with whichever realm he goes down. But yeah, rounding off a very good top three here. I think Finlay Thornton in third place as well. Yeah, good level of conditioning, very shapely, just not quite as muscled as the other two athletes, particularly William in first place. But yeah, brought in some good conditioning there. But yeah, and I think Presley had a great kind of like balance overall, good level of fullness, particularly from like muscle maturity through in his upper body and like detail through in the quads. Very impressive to see. But I think, yeah, William's just very, very overpowering with his arms, chest, delts, like very thick chest, which you don't really see on that many juniors. Never mind in a teen class. So yeah, it's quite a dominating look for a teen bodybuilder for sure. I'm not sure if say Presley's going on to do competing in Worlds as well, because I know particularly for like a teen, how much it costs to go towards Boston to compete as well. No, like neither of William as well. I don't know. It's become the trend now, and I'm definitely don't really agree with this. And this may get some backlash with the kind of GoFundMe's and stuff. It's like I get fundraisers like for a good cause, but when it's just a hobby and it's just bodybuilding, like I don't really agree with it. But yeah, it's my my 10 pence in towards that. But yeah, it'd be great to see these on the world stage, but understandably, not all. Most team bodybuilders aren't going to be able to fund that because, let's be honest, it's probably going to come from parents funding it as well. But yeah, rounding off a good class. Sorry for the little side tangent on that one.
He did put on his stories, he's like Boston bound kind of thing, so I assume he's probably planning to do it. And again, he's another one. If he's doing tomorrow at the UKFBA, you know, he's gonna go 3 for 3. Like he just is unbeatable. Yet one of them, like someone could say, well, you know, could it be a little bit harder? Yeah, but it's as hard as it needs to be to win. Like simple. And you know, I hope he stays in the natural realm because there's so much more muscle he can grow. But I understand the allure of the other side of things. We all understand that. We just try and promote our sport side a little bit more so people like him stay in it and achieve great things. And you know that front lat is very reminiscent of, you know, Big Theo, who again we're going to feature in a few moments on this show. You know, if you look at actually, if you kind of like covered his head, that top line particularly, because that's such a big shot for Theo, like his you know, his arms, delts, and chest in the front lat are really dominating. Like it's almost a carbon copy, obviously a slightly less mature version and a slightly smaller version, of course, but like he's gonna be a ridiculously good heavyweight. And Presley and Finlay are going to be great competitors as they go forward. Like Finlay in most years probably wins the team class looking like that, but you know the top two were very good, and Presley's shape is fantastic. I think that background behind his legs actually just because it kind of skews his sweep because he's got a really good sweep. But his top line again is ridiculously good. His arms separation and it's really, really good, really aesthetic, and almost like what you see on like the assisted kind of guys when they have that really deep difference between the delt into the tricep in a shot like that. And it's just something you're born with. Like you can't necessarily do a lot about that. So yeah, Presley's a fantastic team bodybuilder. And yeah, if Will does go to Worlds, obviously if he don't have juniors, he'll hold his own in the heavyweights. He will. Yeah, he may not like win. I mean, he could. He's very good. He could win. He may not win because you imagine there's going to be some very good amateur heavies who are obviously probably twice his age and have got that maturity. But it's just a bit of a shame if he don't do juniors. They might change it this year. He just didn't last year, which is a bit of a shame because they always did when I first started following WNBF Worlds. I don't know really why they wouldn't.
I know when there was
because some of the juniors have gone on to.
Yeah, so I know when there was affiliated with the with the UKD FBA back then, the junior classes back then, but I'm not so sure why it's changed. Maybe it was being due to the funding for the younger athletes. But yeah, it would be good to see. But whether they were just getting smaller classes because of that, I'm not too sure in particular. But yeah, as Finn said there, I'm sure he'd do very well if he was in the open bodybuilding anyway. So I'm going to get us through. So moving on through into his junior bodybuilding short. And juniors, as expected, this is probably where you get most attraction through onto like natural bodybuilding now. People coming into the game, people coming back after competing from several years, and just growing with social media, the popularity behind it. So there's no real surprise they kind of split this to a short and tall, under 173 centimeters. So yeah, just fall into the short class on that one as well myself. Definitely not a junior anymore though. But yeah, this standout, and it's fair to say here, Thomas Lee, like that is a superb bodybuilder. Like clear win there, which is fair to say, and I'm sure Charlie and Jack Fisher in second and third place are like, yeah, like fair enough, like it is, because in terms of the muscularity, separation, his condition, it's just fantastic. That's like 100% really. Like you can't get much better than what he's brought there. For what his physique's got at the moment. He's very well shaped player, very well balanced. Doesn't really have a weak pose as well. Someone who we've seen before competing in was it last year at the at Worlds, wasn't it? On a 2020. Yeah, it'd been 2023 at Worlds. Back in the summer, and made great athlete back then, but made heaps of improvements since then. Huge improvements, and one of Tim Stewart's clients, and he never fails to get these guys in condition. Yeah, definitely highlights it there. But yeah, this is superb. Top three as well. Like Charlie Cuthbert, like made huge, phenomenal improvements coming into this season. Legs, some of the biggest legs on a junior. Another one with a fantastic sweep there. Very, very impressive to see. And Jack Fisher, who we've seen throughout the season, good striations through from his quads. Not sure if he's actually used dark as well in comparison to the others. Looks like he's got a slightly like darker tan for on that. But yeah, he's brought a good condition and good muscularity as well for a junior class. But when you've got someone as polished as Tom in first place up on that stage, it's going to be very hard to beat that for any junior. Probably one of the best juniors I've seen today. I don't know where you stand with that on that, Finn.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he was good last year. dare I say it without being like, and this isn't meant in disrespectful way if you're listening, Tom, like a lot softer last year compared to this, but obviously this is incredibly peeled. Like the quad striations there are about as good as you'd expect on any bodybuilder, never mind a junior. I believe his original sport was powerlifting, and you could see that last year he had a lot of dense muscle, like really thick muscle, like you get from just the big three and doing them to a high level of powerlifting. And a lot of powerlifters have that similar look. And that's what he had, and obviously that's his background. So obviously he's a strong lad. That's why he's got that muscle maturity to get this peeled, and yeah, he's pretty shredded. And it certainly would have been interesting to see him stood next to Dante. I'm not saying he beats Dante. I'm just saying it'd have been cool to see them compared. And obviously, had Dante not gone on and did what he did earlier in the year, winning his pro card in Dubai, he probably would have done this show. Although he'd have been in the taller class, he may have obviously met, because they did do a junior overall, which was kind of a last minute thing from what I saw online. And Tom did go on to win that, as you can imagine. Yeah, he's a brilliant bodybuilder, and looking forward to seeing him tomorrow. I think he's doing the UKFBA show. He originally was. So I can't imagine he's not doing it now. But yeah, again, like you say, Charlie, obviously doing the juniors, because I imagine his age cut off for the BNBF is the difference. Because I know BNBF has different rules to WNBF and UKFBA of when you can be a junior. I think it's to do with
Data
something.
registration, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you're like 24, is it like if you're 24 within the calendar year of the season, like you're not due or something like that?
Yeah, I think one's due to the end date of the British finals, and one's if you are at the qualifiers or at the end of the year, something like that. They've
Yeah.
slightly
So
now anyway.
so he's improved immensely. Obviously, got a very good place in the novice at the BNBF, and he's come to do juniors, and ordinarily I'd probably think I could win, but then he's just come up against a very, very high level athlete in Tom. And Jack's had a really, really good season. Shout out to him. He did the Heart of England, looks really good there, and he just keeps coming unluckily against these good guys. Obviously, he just was short at the BNBF against Nicholas. At the Heart of England, he was just short against Bert. He just keeps coming up against these freaks. He's a very good bodybuilder. He's very, very peeled. That photo doesn't really do him justice. He's a very, very shredded lad. And he's done very, very well. I don't know if I read that this was his last show. He might be doing tomorrow, but I've got a feeling I read that he was like, that was his last show. And he's had a really, really good season. It's just unlucky, unfortunately. But when he moves into the Open, he will he'll very, very do very well. Like I said, he's just had a couple of times where he's just come up against these freaks, and it's just it is what it is. There's not a lot of things you can do. Yeah, ultimately, Tom is. I don't think he wouldn't have been far away in the overall again. Like we're going to probably say about all the bodybuilding winners, to be honest. But yeah, really, really good junior short class, of which good to see. Again, that means there's plenty of juniors doing it, and that they had to split it by height.
Yeah, very good. And I think one thing just standing out for Tom as well, like you can have like this muscle like on your frame from all the powerlifting and so on, but in terms of his actual muscle insertions, genetically he's got that, and when you're up against that, there's not much you can do. It's just it's put in a very, very good look for it. And then another very, very impressive junior class into the junior bodybuilding tall. Conditioning stands out in this class, particularly Ryan Hale in second place. Seeing him compete throughout the season, and his unfortunately like just some of his placings just the same with likes of Charlie and Jack, just up against some freaks. But in this class, like come to his own with up against some athletes at a similar kind of like height. And his conditioning is definitely as sharpish, and it's very impressive to see. Good vascularity, like separations there, all the way through from his quads. Very impressive to see there. Nicholas Arnold there, just, yeah, heaps of muscle, very bubbly, very shapely physique as well, and well balanced top to toe. And then also Mohab in third place. Great conditioning, lovely shape on him. Just not as big as the other two athletes there. And biggest standout for Nicholas is just like evidently the biggest out of the three of these guys here. Conditioning wise, like I said, Ryan's definitely got that there. But yeah, overall, I think package brought by Nicholas was very, very good. Definitely room for him to get sharper as well, which is not saying you're soft, you're far from soft. But when you're up stood against someone that's really inside out like Ryan, it's like, okay, yeah, there is them improvements to be made, and it just improve yourself as an athlete even more as well. But yeah, this was a very good class to see, and particularly with taller athletes, them not looking kind of stringy and that fill the frames out pretty well. And say these are 23 and under, it's very impressive to see. So when they move into the open classes, like, yeah, these guys will do some damage in the heavyweights and maybe some of them touching on middleweights. But yeah, some three very good athletes in this class again.
Yeah, it's first time I've chatted about Nicholas because I didn't get to talk about him loads on because obviously I went on the WNBF one. So yeah, two British titles for him, and kind of come, I say out of nowhere. I mean that as in, like Luke hinted at, the junior classes tend to have a lot of hype around them, a lot of big social media presences do them, and they get a lot of, because obviously these younger lot have been growing up on social media, so TikTok and Instagram and to them is like second nature. So they tend to have like quite a lot of hype following him. Obviously, Nicholas is just, he's kind of just rocked up and looking really, really good. So yeah, two titles for him, looking very good. You can see he's going to grow into a great heavyweight. And yeah, be interesting to see what his plans are, if he's doing DFAT Worlds, if he's doing WNBF Worlds, if he's doing both, anything like that. Because obviously he's very, very good for his age, and like you say, he's for these three taller lads to still be looking quite full is good, because you sometimes see with the younger lot, the taller lads can just look a little bit thinner, dare I say it. But yeah, Ryan's obviously done quite a few shows this year, and he keeps turning up in superb condition, and there's not much more you can do with that. So credit to him. Very, very peeled, and Mohab's someone we haven't seen before, or certainly I haven't. But yeah, he's got good shape, so you can see he's got a good future ahead of him. And yeah, it's another good top three. And the juniors very well attended junior class, all in all. And there was a few guys who were very decent who didn't crack the top three in both classes. And unfortunately, that's just the case. With particularly this WNBF show, like, because it is international standard, like, we're going to go on to in the open classes. The standard there is just ridiculous. So to be in the top three is exceptionally well earned, and you've got to be good in any of the classes. There wasn't a poor class in the entire show.
No, not at all. And that's one thing that stands out with doing kind of like an open invite kind of final, really. Like the standard is just that high. And we'll, as we both touched on, obviously UK going on this weekend as we're recording, and that's another thing we've seen for that as well. So into novice bodybuilding short. So novice again, huge number of competitors within novice bodybuilding, and people getting into the sport. Yes, we've seen many of these athletes throughout the season, but it's still their novice season. As wild as that is with the the athletes you can see on up on the screen now. But yeah, novice has been split into short and tall, I believe, on this. Yep, short and tall again. And no surprise, Rupinder, the Natty Roo coming away with the win, 3 for 3, I think, on this one. And a standout as well. If any of you follow Roo on social media, on Instagram, he put his routine up, and certainly a standout before he goes into his most muscular. Definitely put his little touch on that routine. I'll not give it away too much, but yeah, go go have a look on Rue's Instagram, because yeah, very well put together a video showcasing the day there. But yeah, top three, phenomenal. Rue stands out particularly in the shot, but obviously like you got two hitting a front double, and then you've got Odonayu with the abs and thigh, looking even sharper as well for Odonayu. Just continues to improve and improve throughout. But yeah, particularly I think Rue is significantly a lot sharper than he was at BNBF. He was just good enough anyway to like take the title on that day. But yeah, I think this is probably his best look yet. Not sure what his plans are for out, obviously, with invites within 3 federations. So it'll be interesting to hear where and see where he goes on that. And Will, like, what stand out in particular in his biceps. Look at that separation there for those of you watching on YouTube. That is very impressive to see from both his biceps. Quads very, very well well developed. Quads, a lot of meat around the knee. Obviously some poundage going into the squatting, but it's hard to look like you've got ridiculous quads when you stood against Rupinder there. But yeah, all three of these have got a great set of wheels and great physiques, and novice bodybuilding. It's these guys will be then moving into the open classes. So if you think the standard of natural bodybuilding is like developed and growing now, just wait till these guys come back and they've made the improvements in the off season. It's just going to continue to rise and rise, which is what we all want, and impressive to see for sure.
Yeah, to be fair, like for Rue's off season, he's literally just got to train like chest and back, like, and that's not to say his chest or back is shit. Like his arms are massive and his quads are massive, so it's like you don't need to do them. Like you don't need to bring them up anymore, because then you could get unbalanced, and then that can cost you in the open. Even though he's been very close in the overall, but obviously that might be the thing that could just. But obviously, we're talking about someone who's exceptional. Yeah, definitely the best novice. I can't think of a better novice off the top of my head in the last couple of years. Even our second place there, I don't know, like, technically he's 2 classic British champion, because he got the golden era overall sword at this show. Because for anyone who doesn't know, the WNBF do a golden era round, so basically it's like a classic round. All the bodybuilders classes are like that. It's part of their comparisons, and the winner of the golden era might not always be the winner of the class. It's like who's the most classic, and they get invited back to an overall, and the overall sometimes is given a pro card. In the first year they did it, it was Sam Hartman, who people should know, and for him to not obviously have got a pro card that day would have been a bit daft because he's that good. And then our good friend Craig won it 2 years ago, and on another day, I think he's more than capable of being awarded pro status. I'm absolutely sure of that. So yeah, amazing for Aldenayu again. And I know he put some nice words about what we said to him, because we did tell him at the Northern. We told him, like, you can win a British, like, you're that good, you just need to lose some body fat. And he had just been on holiday, to be fair to him, just prior to the Northern, so probably wasn't obviously in the most dieted state. And he listened to that. He listened to Josh's coach. He put his head down, and he just got shit done. And fair play to the lad. And yeah, Will in third. I think it was his first ever show. This I've got a feeling. I'm sure he's put that on a post. And yeah, really good. And you can, and I know this obviously is a novice class, but you can look at those 2 shots next to each other, and he's like Rue, but like maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
In terms of development. So a good couple of year off season, like he could look like Rue does there, because he's got a very similar frame, very similar structure. Obviously hasn't got the wacky quads, but no one else does. They're just not going to. That is just, again, God given. And yeah, really good novice short class. And again, that means there was a lot of novices entered the show, because I think WNBF, I think they cut it off at around 16-ish. Depending on the class. So I think for like if they're breaking it into high classes, so yeah, there must have been plenty of novices applied to do the show, and obviously some good lads didn't even place. But Rue is untouchable at novice level. He's nearly untouchable at open level. He's been just short in the overalls at both British shows, and I can't imagine how he doesn't win the third one tomorrow. I just can't imagine that at all.
No. I believe at the qualifier, it was the BNBF Midlands. He took the overall, actually beat Theo in the overall then. So he definitely capable for sure. And then we move on to novice bodybuilding tall. Yeah, again, some good athletes for within this class. Peter, and I'm not trying to be hypercritical on this, but not so keen on the wide stance on the front lat spread, but just highlights how good of a physique you have to still stand out with the in that shot there. And then James, again, someone who we've seen throughout the season, and yeah, he looks improved. He's come in very good throughout the whole season so far. Great athlete, and got a bright future behind him because another tall athlete with good shape and structure, good muscularity and conditioning as well. And then Martin Skinner there, heaps of muscle, particularly in the quads. Great sweep on his left quad there. Just not as sharp as the other athletes. I think Peter in particular, he just looks like the most kind of polished in terms of just the actual like dryness to his physique, just roundness. Just looks, yeah, overall the most polished, but yeah, well contested novice bodybuilding tall class. And as Vin said here, to have over 16 athletes within novice bodybuilding, it just shows how well what direction the sport's heading in, and it's really wicked to see.
Yeah, Peter he's been I think it was his first show of the year. I don't think he did any qualifiers off the top of my head. But he's been tagging us a lot of stuff on Instagram, and we do appreciate everyone who's been tagging and supporting the page. So yeah, he definitely will watch this, and I'm sure he'll take on what you're saying about that. Because yeah, that's the thing. If you just bend down a little bit too much, then it can take off that sweep, of which he has got a good sweep. Cause I've seen the other pictures. Good winner. Good. Again, like you were saying earlier about Jack, maybe James there has used dark as because obviously his tan's a bit different, and obviously you might have some left over from BNBF, so I suppose people use it rather than book the show tanner. UKFBA and WNBF have show tanners. BNBF obviously doesn't, as it's just self-applied one. We had decent top three for a tall class. James has been thereabouts across the board in because he did the Heart of England. He did very well there. Obviously, did very well at British finals with a BNBF and another top three here. So yeah, he's a very good novice compared to if he carries on. He's going to be right at home in the open. Got lovely shape, bit more muscle, and he'll be up there in an open class. And Martin, big lad, a lot of muscle, very tall. And again, you just see that thick muscle that when that matures a bit more, that's going to be a very, very, very good, probably heavyweight, or or tall, depending on the federation. So yeah, another good novice lineup. Arguably the shorter top two, we know might be beat Peter if there was like a novice overall. But overall is if these three were with the short lads, it would have been an absolute headache for the judges because a really, really good 6 novices here, and obviously there were plenty of others who didn't even place top 3 or 5. So yeah, again, the next generation coming through, very, very good. So yeah, and novice always is competitive. Rare you get a novice lineup that is befitting to the name in terms of it's not very good. Everyone is a novice. Like, yeah, it's always a good lineup at British level at least.
Yeah, definitely. We'll go through to this was again, to be honest, as soon as it goes to the open classes, like standard of athletes, and it was good to see a high amount of competitors within open bodybuilding, because within some of, particularly with qualifiers and stuff, obviously there's going to be less at qualifiers. Whereas you might see some we only have either 2, 3, 4 within either the short, medium, tall, or lightweights, or whatever, and so on there. But picking out a top 3 here, like, and all 3 of these are phenomenal and all have their own strengths, and you could even say it, like, and weaknesses as well, which is fair to say. But yeah, all 3 of them superb athletes, and you could look at all 3 of them probably with some of you watching the Olympia today, where you've got your top 3 with Derek, Hardy, Samson, and you're like, all right, like you could make arguments for probably all 3 of these, particularly all in this shot for him winning. But overall, I think, as we've seen throughout the season, Anthony's kind of granite hard conditioning, and his shape carries him very, very well. But in the shot, like, stand out to me is like Powell, particularly with them quads, and just how he's kind of like sat through into that shot and his overall shape there. Marius, an athlete we've seen throughout the season, and he'll be devastated to pick up another second place, because it would probably feel like, oh, it's losing again to him, to an athlete of that standard as well. But yeah, you just got to accept it when you're up against someone of Anthony's standard as well. But on another day, things could have gone the other way. But yeah, superb package again, by Marius. Anthony, just similar condition to what he brought at WNBF finals, which was superb, and was rightly awarded with the British final there. Same again, but into the short class here. But yeah, Powell, like, in terms of quads, stupid size there. Great separation. Not like, looks well polished. Good level of fullness there. He looks. It's weird because he's got a wide frame, for instance, like from his clavicle width, but his legs, his quads particularly, still look quite overpowering on his frame. But yeah, definitely room to, probably as sharp as he is, to sharpen up, and then quads stand out even more, like what we see in like Ruse in particular. But yeah, this was a superb top 3, and some great athletes missing out on this top 3, even on the top 5 in this class. And I imagine this was definitely a head scratcher for the judges.
Yeah, Anthony, another British title to his name, and I imagine he's doing tomorrow because he's done UKFBA before. So if he goes free, could go free for free. Although he obviously will be up against Mr. Sutcliffe, I imagine, in the short. So yeah, another fantastic showing from him. We said it, when he did his qualifier, and he was in classic.
So
He wasn't a million miles. It wasn't a million miles away from an overall there. And then obviously just missed out at the Heart of England for whatever reason. It wasn't maybe his best that day. And he's stormed back, got sharper, won 2 British titles. Jobs are good in, and he was very close to Theo in both overalls. Spoiler alert, yeah, I've just ruined it. The overall winner in the bodybuilding, but it don't matter. We all know. Very close to Theo in both. And ultimately, Marius in second. We were both blown away by him at the Northern. Tons of muscle, very dense, very Dirk Emmerish level back double in terms of like the look of it. Nowhere near the condition, because no one gets that conditioned. Another second place, but I really hope for his sake, like WNBF Germany, I think's next weekend. I really hope for his sake he wins his class. I think they do. WNBF Germany, I think, do weight class. So obviously, he'd be a lightweight. As we know, Anthony is a middleweight, because he wouldn't be a BNBF middleweight. So obviously, Marius was giving a lot of weight away to him, and probably Pavel. Pavel's definitely a middleweight because he looks bigger than Anthony there. He might even been like the top end, like 77, 78 kilo, like James Alabaster kind of weight, Dante weight, looking at the size of him. So, you know, Marius is probably giving away 10 kilo plus to someone like him, and obviously he did beat him with the condition. So again, these are three guys who very likely could be pros by the end of the year, because Pavel will be doing WNBF Poland, which is towards the end of October. I think it's their first ever want show in Poland, I think, and obviously I'd be imagining he'd be a favourite for their overall. Natty News Daily featured him a couple of weeks ago. I didn't realise he was doing the UK show. And yeah, he's a fantastic bodybuilder, just to come up against, like, you know, Anthony, who is incredible. You know, if he was in America, Anthony would be a pro by now, because they hand out pro cards quite every show usually. And Marius could turn pro, you know, if he goes to Worlds, or if he goes to, you know, if he wins, he could win the overall WNBF Germany and beat some of the bigger guys. You just don't know. But yeah, fantastic top three. And there was some guys like who didn't even place the top five, never mind place the top three, like Sonny, Alex Zhang. I'll try not to forget anyone, but some really good British guys. Martin Lamont, a few others who, like, in any other year, like, they're British top two level, like, literally. And they couldn't crack the placings in this lineup. It was that good. Some people have said, and I probably would agree if I'd been there at the show, that it's the best open individual class they've ever seen at a British final, and I can't imagine it's far off. It really can't be far off. You know, and the lightweights at the BNBF were probably the class of the day for the men. So, you know, these lightweights and short bodybuilding classes are ridiculously stacked. So, yeah, fair play. Very, very impressive. And, you know, if Anthony goes 3 for 3 tomorrow, and Anthony's a Masters as well, because I believe he's just turned 40, or he's in his early 40s. So again, it just shows you, if he decided to have done Masters, he'd have still cleaned up. He's yeah, very, very good. And yeah, this is definitely a class that was unforgiving to some very good bodybuilders who have missed out. And to be fair, reading the posts, like, they've all been pretty magnanimous about it. Like, they've kind of just said, look, this is high level bodybuilding. There's not a lot we can do. No one's really been like, oh, didn't place, blah blah blah, moaned about it. Like I say, Alex, who was you know, come third at the BNBF the week before, one of the best in the country, didn't get a top third, and he was just like, yeah, what this happens, unfortunate, but it's that high standard.
Yeah, that's bodybuilding, isn't it? You can only yeah, bring your best, and sometimes there's 3, 4, 5 other athletes who are just better than you, and you've got to accept that. And this is a class, even at the the open bodybuilding short one, I'd fall into BNBF British finals, I'd fall into lightweights. I know I wouldn't place in that, so it's just, yeah, you got to hold your hand up and feel like, yeah, fair enough. I'm just got to appreciate the high level and the high standard natural bodybuilding is getting to now. And for the rest of you in your off season, make sure you're putting your groundwork in, because everyone else is improving around you. Another good class in this one. I do believe Ron was quite a standout within this class in terms of what he brought overall. In terms of his, what's going on there? Back in. His actual muscularity, his conditioning, fullness, just, yeah, rounded off a very, very good look. Shout out to Christian Kerr, though, because, like, he was just, yeah, peeled. He has been all season. He always brings, like, granite hard conditioning. I think Christian was arguably sharper than Ron. But in terms of, yeah, muscularity, Ron, who I believe is also competing tomorrow at the UKDFBA finals as well. So he'll be in the medium again, I believe. So one to watch out for, which will be another very high contested class. But yeah, I think his look overall was very, very impressive. Christian, as I mentioned, very, very impressive to see his conditioning. Always has a wicked routine as well. And partner of Chelsea, who we'll get onto later. in the pro show. And I thought, yeah, Daniel, who we've seen throughout the season, his sharpest look yet, continuing to improve throughout, and just up against well, two very good athletes up ahead of him. But yeah, he's done very well to knock out a top three within this class, to be fair. So rounding off another good class in the bodybuilding medium.
Yeah, this would have been my class. So again, I look at it and think, like it's nothing I would have enjoyed being up against the level of these three. Ron, bit of like a crowd favorite coming in, like featured heavily, obviously AJ being his coach, and everyone knew he was bringing something pretty special. So I think he's from Israel, I think. So to come over, bring this level of, you know, um, standard of physique, and it's certainly one of those where if he was to go and did a national show in his own country, you can see him probably winning overall. And to be fair, there's quite a few really decent bodybuilders come out of who've turned WNBF Pro from Israel actually in the last couple of years. So clearly there's a decent amount of talent there. Christian always peeled, like just is like there's one thing you're going to get with him, like you're not going to out condition him. You're just not. No one is. Probably was the most conditioned at this show, I'd imagine. I can't imagine there was anyone close to him. He's not a million miles away from Chris Palin level shreds, and that's saying something because no one's Chris Palin. So for him to, top place Brit, he'll be chuffed with that. I imagine he'll go to Worlds, seeing as Chelsea will be. So you'd think as a couple they'd go. So it'd be great to him to get in the mix at Worlds. And Daniel's had a really, really good year. Another fan of the page, really appreciate his tagging us and everything like that. Did really well at the middleweights at the WNBF. Took a third here, looking very, very good. Keeps getting tighter show to show, which is all you can do. All you can do, mate. So just keep going there. I'd imagine you can drop us a message, Daniel. I imagine you must be. I can't imagine he's travelling back and forth. So I wonder if he's kind of set up a bit of a base camp, or do you live over here? I'd like to know, mate. Because I'm sure he did a German regional. I'm sure he did a early. I'm sure he did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
as well this year.
Ron's base camped it over here for the past couple of weeks, I believe.
Yeah, fair play to you. Fair play, Ben. But yeah, really good top three. And again, like I said, this is my class. Not sure I'd have been anywhere near. But yeah, really, really good. And another unforgiving one. There was a few good guys again who didn't creep into this one. Like Tyler was looking really good. Didn't manage top three in the mediums, and it's just again unforgiving. And this is the level of international shows, and with this WNBF UK, you probably consider it more of like a European level show than like a true British in terms of the standard. Like I said at the top of this episode, we're going to go on to it. There was not a bad class in this entire show. There was not a class where you're like, yeah, okay, top two are good, maybe third, and all that, just the winner's good. Like bikini was arguably, we'll get on to this, like the best bikini standard across all classes I've ever seen. Some of the women's classes, the men's physique classes, brilliant, all brilliant. So yeah, it was a fantastic standard show. Whether it was ran as efficiently is up for another debate in terms of, I know it was a late finish, but they tried to give 250 athletes stage time. It's very difficult to do in one day. And with the standard being as it is, I know they did several call-outs in every single class. So when it's not cut and dry, it takes a long time to do the comparisons.
Yeah, that's it. And you can't please everyone. You could have it being a shorter show, but not everyone get the stage time. Only give certain people, like for instance, the top 5 or the top 3, a routine, or you could make routines down to 30 seconds. Or you could have people having the stage time and it finishing later. At the end of the day, not everyone's going to be happy with the outcome, and that's life, and so that is bodybuilding. But yeah, they've definitely give everyone a fair amount of stage time by the sounds of things, which is awesome to see. Then we threw into open bodybuilding tall, and the winner certainly needs no introduction. Um, certainly needs no introduction at all. And as we mentioned previously, actually the overall winner from this class and picking up his second pro status of the season. And I know he's just recently announced his due to some unforeseen circumstances, he's actually capped the season off. But yeah, phenomenal season for Theo, taking two pro statuses after being very close for a number of years. And I mean by very close, he's been up there, or he's his second in the overall for a number of years. Kept knocking on the door, and it just shows what just keep turning up, keep knocking on the door, and you'll get rewarded as he has done this season. And it's the best we've seen him so far, and came in even sharper than he was at the BNBF, particularly from this side shot here. The sharpest I've particularly seen Theo's side leg, and heaps of muscle, very bubbly. So yeah, when he can bring that like nail hard condition as well, awesome to see. And this was a great class as well, like second place. I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce that because I'm just going to butcher your name there. But yeah, second place athlete. I know Finn will give it a go later. I know he's just looking a bit puzzled trying to read it now. But yeah, like superb, like huge arms. Again, great side leg. I know your medal's actually sitting in the in between in between your pecs there, but he had a huge chest, which was great to see. And then Irvin in third, like super hard in terms of his physique, looks as similar as you can. Obviously, a taller athlete to our junior overall winner Tom. In terms of that kind of like his muscle separation, the actual quality of the muscle. I know he looks as he's got more maturity here from being an older athlete, I believe so. Otherwise, he'd have probably been in juniors. But normally, you looked at Irvin and thought, "Fucking hell, like that's your winner there." But to come third, like it just highlights the standard in this class. And as we mentioned through the shorts, like this top three was definitely up there with, particularly in a bodybuilding tall, like of some of the best I've seen really. Like great separation, great package brought. But yeah, when you're up against Thea, you're kind of like, fucking hell. Sometimes you're battling for second place, and that's just how it is. But yeah, wrapping up, very good bodybuilding tall class. And yeah, I'm not sure if either of the athletes in second or third place are going through onto Worlds, or they've got some future shows over in the UK. Not seen either of the names beforehand. Apologies if you have done some UK shows throughout the season. But yeah, two impressive physiques, and like I say, Theo doesn't need much introduction really.
Yeah, our overall bodybuilding winner, as Luke said, got the pro card, and it's very highly coveted. As I said on his feature post, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, certainly in the last 10 years, is the only male bodybuilder to have won overalls in two British finals in the same year. I can't think of one, not off the top of my head, because a lot of the time, and when I'm saying like, so obviously this is like BNBF,
Lloyd,
WNBF. Oh, sorry.
Ben Lloyd, or that would have been.
He only won he won them in separate years. Ben Lloyd won overall in 2019 UK FBA, but it was already DFAT Pro. He won it. He won his pro card actually at DFAT World in 2016 as a novice. Actually, so he's the only one to my knowledge. I think maybe Sam Watt might have won. He won the UK FBA overall in 2016, and he won, I'm sure, the MPA British overall that year. I might be wrong, so it could be him. And again, that if you're in a conversation with Sam Watt, you're a pretty good bodybuilder. So Theo were pretty chuffed to hear that actually, because he didn't realise. And I only just thought of it because I was just thinking like, because a lot of the overall winners, if they win the overall at like one show, they won't do the next show for whatever reason. Whether it's politics, whether it's just like, well, I've done it, whether it's because they've accepted a pro card, we think, well, I don't want to like go into another show and maybe lose, and then people think, oh, you know, you didn't win that. So to my knowledge, I can't name another one who's won 2 male bodybuilders overall titles. Overall, remember, not British. Overall at the British finals, I can't think of one. And we've had some fantastic bodybuilders out of this country. So to be in a class of 1 or maybe 2, if Sam Watt did it, is pretty special. And gutted he won't get to make his pro debut at WNBF. If he was going to do Worlds, if he was going to do Germany or wherever, like really gutted about that. But obviously, if it's anything like in his personal life or work or anything, these things happen, and that comes first. It's always going to be the case. Gedvidas, second, fantastic bodybuilder. I'd go out on a limb and say Lithuanian. So correct me if I'm wrong there, mate. But very a lot of muscle and really impressive. You know, of a size of Theo, as you can see there, just, you know, not as conditioned, and no one is, you know, Theo is probably going to be like the most conditioned heavyweight we've had for a long time. And then, like you say, Irvin in third, really good level of condition, and most years is good enough to win. And should he do another WNBF show, you'd imagine he could easily win an overall. And again, just shout out to people like Darren, Ryan Sapstead, you know, Jack Love Jones, a couple of lads in this class who couldn't crack placings in this lineup. And again, you just seen the standard. That's why. So couldn't be happier for Theo. Obviously, didn't get to chat about him in the WNBF episode. Like the nicest lad you can hope to meet in the sport. As he's doing on there, he's always smiling, always got time for people, always supportive of people, even if it's like, you know, someone he just knows with the sport. Has been in and around British level for many years, and he's finally done it. And I think everyone was collectively pretty chuffed for him. So I'm buzzing for him. It's so well deserved, and he's always had it in his locker. He's always had that talent, and the first couple of years, it was the condition. Maybe he just couldn't hit the mark on, and then, you know, obviously he partnered with AJ, and it hasn't looked back since. So you know, to win the two of the big 3 overalls in a single season is incredible. And like I said, I do not believe it's been done before. So yeah, buzzing to see. And he's, you know, when he comes back as a fully fledged pro, whenever that might be in a couple of years' time, he's going to be chasing down some really big titles, and I think he's more than capable of doing that. You know, at a pro level.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, super happy for Theo. And it goes to show as well, Theo is an athlete. I'm sure if many of you've seen his training, he's super strong, trains heavy, trains hard, and his physique certainly showcases that. Doesn't do much of the fluff work or as much as they say, quote unquote, optimal. Just, yeah, happily get under the bar, whether it's pulling from the floor, pressing the barbell, big heavy dumbbell pressing, and his physique certainly highlights that. So yeah, that's just one to take from this as well. But yeah, super happy for him. Obviously made his pro debut with the DFAC just after, and rightly so, didn't look out of place in that as expected. Racking off a third, and when he does his pro debut season, I'm sure he'll definitely be up there in the mix with some top placings. And then to women's bodybuilding, and as we've seen throughout the season with women's bodybuilding, it's certainly on the rise. And it used to be one class where you'd see maybe 1 or 2 women's bodybuilders, and you'd think, yeah, they're good, and then there's like a few that are just not quite really there, or they're probably more suited to other classes. But we've got a top 3 here, like heaps of muscle, and just top 3 just, yeah, very good. Jenny Hill in 3rd place, who we've seen throughout this season, great conditioning, just up against two very good and more developed and well muscled athletes here in 1st and 2nd place. Think that, I mean, Laura Lee, great separation, a little bit harder than our winner in 1st place, which is probably fair to say, but in terms of the actual muscularity and shape of our winner there. I think is just a clear standout, really. Like having great sweep and adductors very, very thick. This on her legs on most male bodybuilders would be quite the standout, which is fair to say, and particular for like a shorter athlete, as you can see here as well. But yeah, overall shape and stuff very well balanced from top to toe. I'm rounding off a very good class here. But yeah, I think all three of these have brought something very special to the bodybuilding stage, and it's great to see women's bodybuilding get some good hype around it and heading in the right direction, and seeing like well muscled people within that class, because that's what we want to see. Definitely going in the right direction and getting some good hype behind it, so which is awesome, really.
Yeah, I think it's been the best year ever for ladies bodybuilding since they introduced it across the federations. Like Luke said, it's usually, unfortunately, like one or two tops do the class, of which sometimes they're okay, like standard, but every show this year it's been ridiculous. And this is a great class. Elisabetta from Italy. She's actually a fit body WNBF Pro already, because I found a profile early when I was doing a post, and she's obviously moved up, and obviously as per the WNBF rules, because it's a separate division, you have to win them a card in the division of actual your choice, rather than like the IFBB where you can just decide to move divisions. So like men's physique would have to win a bodybuilding pro card, because we've seen some men's physique pros do men's bodybuilding in an attempt to win pro cards. There was a guy in Spain did it, so he'll be competing this weekend.
And Dubai as well, I believe, at the WNBF Dubai.
Yeah,
It was in Kez's class.
yeah. So plenty do have to do it. So obviously she hasn't cheated by being in ladies bodybuilding. It's another class, so she's by rights doing this, and I imagine she's more than capable of going pro in that. She did very well as a fit body athlete, and she's made the strides forward to do it. Really good winner. Laura, who did this show last year, I believe, as well, and placed highly. And she may have gone to Worlds actually, but yeah, really good bodybuilder. Would love to see her and Becky Starr compared. It'd be great to see them in the same lineup, because they're two slightly different physiques, but two equally amazing British ladies bodybuilding athletes. And Jenny in third, like one of the nicest people. I spoke to the MPA, lovely woman, really nice woman. Doesn't know how good she is, and she had to be reminded by myself at that show. And she's had a really great year. To say what she was saying to me at the MPA, she just wanted to do one show and not look out of place. And now she's done 4 shows, I believe, and is placed highly in all of them. So you know what, can't fault a lot there. And to come third in this lineup is very good. And there was actually a few more athletes as well. It was quite a populated class, which is great to see. So yeah, ladies bodybuilding is alive and well, and this year could mark the start of something really special in terms of the popularity shooting up, which is great to see. Great to see. Let's hope it's not a one-off.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. I imagine from the momentum that's gone from this season, it'll continue to go forward into the following years. And then we're on to figure, which has had some huge popularity over years, and just the standard of this just continues to get better and better as we progress. So open figure short here. So again, as mentioned, just that many athletes within the open figure. It's split into short and tall here. You can get a sense within the numbers. So we've got like 9, 10 within this class. But yeah, Lucy in second place. Needs to know. Seen her compete throughout the season, looking yet again looking very good within this class. But then just up against like Samantha, particularly her quads was quite a standout. Quads delts just had a little bit more, and through the midsection, Samantha's midsection was super impressive. very well separated, but had like a good level of development and muscularity in her midsection. I know her middle's like hiding it in this shot, but midsection was superb. And then Tiffany, very well shapely in third place, and to crack a top three within this class with the number of athletes in it, like yeah, you're definitely up there. You're definitely a high level athlete within figure. But yeah, I think quite what just kind of edged it for Samantha in terms of her just that extra bit of development, just a bit more kind of like pop through to her delts and a bit more sweep in the quads as well, which just yeah complemented a really nice taper on her. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if not sure what like I know Lucy's plans on continuing forward with UKDFBA this weekend, or if she's going through to Worlds. Not I know that obviously of Samantha, which we'll get onto later, whether her plans are through on Worlds after what she obviously achieved through in this show. But overall, I think yeah, as top three as a whole was very very good.
Yeah, Samantha won the overall as well and was given a pro status. So she says she's making a pro debut at Worlds, so she will do very well. She's got a similar look to some of the girls who've done very well at Pro Worlds, like your Becky Patemans and your Maddie. I'm forgetting the last name, an American girl who are both phenomenal. Um, so yeah, I think she'll be at home with it. Lucy, obviously in second, a lot leaner than she was at the Heart of England. And it's one of those where you know she's dug in a lot. You can tell how much sharper she's got since then, but still holding on to the shape and her frame. Obviously, it's one of those where with figure you've got to play that fine balance of you know, getting super sharp and losing that soft look that they do prefer. Um, but obviously Sam just was a little bit more developed, and you know Lucy is a junior. We've said before. Sam, you know, may probably won't be a junior looking at the level of muscle maturity she has. So that's just a case, Lucy, of just a couple more years of development and having that muscle for longer. You will be winning overalls, like you will, no doubt about it. And Tiffany in third, I believe, came over from France. And yeah, another good athlete and a very a decent top three. I posted them early today actually, and was saying like a really high level figure class. Like you know, in most years, like you don't have enough to have a short and a tall, as Luke said, and we had to split them up because there's too many for one class. So yeah, really good. And obviously, like Samantha going on to, she did it actually the first time a show early in the year, and she didn't even win the overall there. So it shows the improvement she's made in just two shows. Because I don't think she did a show in between. So again, it just shows like the WNBF, there is a path to professional status in a very short space of time, from first timer to winning the British and winning the overall of the British. Like so, another one of several from this show who did the first timer show, and that's way back in July. So you know, to stay in condition for 3 more months is a tough ask. So you've just got to applaud anyone who does that. So yeah, really good showing. Obviously, Lucy is doing. I'm sure she's doing the UK FBA tomorrow. I don't know if she's then going on to do. If she's been invited to do PMBA Europeans off the back of the Heart of England placing.
Yeah.
I don't know if what her plans are beyond that. Obviously, I know her job is fairly demanding. Whether the time off people can get in that. You know, she's works for the fire service. I hope I'm not, you know, misspoken by saying that. You know, so again, credit to someone like that who can work a tough job and a real job. And I say real, obviously tongue in cheek. Us and mere coaches, who it is a real job. Of course, it's a real job, but and I believe Tiffany's actually a nurse as well. So, and Instagram name was Tiffany Fit Nurse. So just shows you two of the top three here are actual people who have got real lives outside of bodybuilding and tough ass to get in shape and prep in those kind of jobs. So fair play to them. But yeah, great class and a very good winner and overall winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure, not so sure on the likes of, Christian, um, who we had on the UK FBA podcast, or likes of maybe Chris Edge, Rob Collar would agree on it being a real job being able to sleep on your night shift. But yeah, we'll skim past that for now. I'm sure I should take that as a light-hearted comment there. Well, anyway, open figure tall now, and yet again, superb. Very shapely athletes within this top three. Louise taking the win there. As you mentioned as well earlier on in the season, you wouldn't be surprised if she's coming home with multiple wins throughout the season. As she's done here, taking the win in a very good class here as well. All three of these athletes possessing some great attributes, slightly different strengths and weaknesses throughout. So even if we're going down to Andrea in third place there, in terms of like very well shapely, particularly on the side pose, which we see many figure girls kind of like go towards that in terms of that side twisting front pose and look more suited and shapely within that. But yeah, I think rounding off a great class there. Clements in second place there, like probably the most conditioned out of them. But in terms of the upper body, a little bit downsized in comparison to both Andrea and Louise. But I think Louise just had the overall best kind of balance there, shape, conditioning, muscularity, and just overall balance, and taking home a good win in a well contested class, it seems to be. But yeah, figure both in tall and short, like top threes there. I mean, if you're normally in British finals, you'd see all six of these together in one class, and that would certainly be a bit of a head scratcher for the judges there. But yeah, very, very good top three in this figure tall class here.
Yeah, Louise, I think fifth or sixth British title now, so she's about as decorated as any female natural at British level. And because unfortunately they're in separate federations, like I know several of the federations have a rule if you win 3 British titles for them, they tend to give you pro status because it's kind of like, well, you keep winning. I know you might not win the overall, but you do keep winning. So clearly, and I saw that several years ago. We gave a men's physique guy, UK FBA, because he won it for the third time, and they were like, look, like regardless of the overall, like here's pro card because you're just too good. So Louise probably could put a hand up and be like, look, like what more do I need to prove at a British level? Because she's won more than most ever do, like put together kind of thing. But another standout look. She just got that figure look, like I said, and it was just unfortunate for her at the WNBF. She came up against Monique, who just those kind of people don't exist normally. So you just have to hold your hands up and say it is one of them. I just came up against an absolute phenom. But yeah, Clements and Andrea in second and third, really good level as well. Slightly different physiques, a bit more conditioned versus a bit more shape, but a good international flavoured top three again. Because I believe Andrea is Romanian or originally, and I think Clements is French, or from that part of the world at least. So another international caliber lineup. But Louise, wasn't. I wouldn't have, looking at her versus Sam, very similar. So I imagine their overall was very close. And then obviously add in Elizabeth in bodybuilding and the Fit Body winner. Um, you've got 4 ridiculously good winners there who, if you gave any of them a pro card or all 4 of them a pro card, you could be like, yeah, you know what? Because we'll get onto in a bit, they did hand out actually multiple pro cards in one division, which we'll get onto in just a little minute. But yeah, if they'd given all 4 of them, you couldn't have really argued because all 4 are exceptional.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we'll go through to as a masters figure class, and yeah, standard just continues throughout from here. And even if we're going down to Stephanie in third place, I thought in terms of her conditioning and muscularity, particularly in the lower half, was super impressive to see, especially for an athlete over 40 within the figure class. And yet again, a little bit a case of kind of like right muscularity condition over some more kind of shapely athletes. So in second place we had Rebecca there, a little bit bigger than our sorry, Sanita in second place. Sorry, slightly more muscled in the lower half than Rebecca there. But overall, I think like Rebecca's kind of like shape, structure, and flow to her physique. That's what got the edge on the day. That kind of small waist into some well capped off delts. Good separation between, as you mentioned earlier, from kind of the delt down to the tricep, and that's genetically that just stands out very well. It's something you either really have or you don't have. But in particular in the figure class, when the kind of front light is quite a dominant and standout pose for them. If you've got that kind of capped off delt into the tricep like that, it just stands out very, very well. And nice sweep to the quads as well, and good flow and presentation. But yeah, good top three overall here. Like I say, all three of them possess the kind of strengths and weaknesses throughout. I'm sure on another day, it's some places maybe could have flip flops around, but I think rounding off a good top three, and it's good to see a number of athletes within this class again. I think we had over a handful of athletes within Masters figure, which is great to see. So yeah, another class where we're looking at, and as we've said throughout, there's been no weak links within the classes. They've been all strong, these classes throughout, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, really, really strong. Top three. Sanita, a bit unfortunate. She keeps just falling short in some of these classes. Few seconds in third place throughout the year. When I saw her update like 10 weeks out, because coach Finn Kelly put it on. Initially, I thought, bloody hell, yeah, I assumed she was assisted. Like, looked really good condition and amount of muscle. So again, it just shows the standard of Rebecca that she's coming second here again. And like you say, I think the difference is just that bit in the delts and arms and that separation that just gives you that accentuated frame that they look for in figure. So yeah, you know, Rebecca is a very good masters figure. She'd be good in open figure, absolutely. And then Stephanie, like you say, tons of muscle, big legs, hard condition, probably on the cusp of enough condition for figure. Bit too much, and you'd be ended up in fit body. But yeah, really good top three, and it's good to see the standard picking up, because early in the year there weren't any masters figures in several of the BNBF qualifiers, and then slowly but surely it's been picking up through the season, and more people have been doing it. So credit to the ladies who have been turning up in shape and putting on a good show, because yeah, really good to see. We don't want any classes dying out or dropping in popularity. You know, the more people that do it, you know, I know it makes longer days for the judges and the audience, but we don't want, you know, classes that have been around for a long time to fall by the wayside. So yeah, really good to see. And obviously Rebecca, not a name I recognise, so I don't believe she's won a British before, so I can be corrected if I'm wrong. So a great showing from her, really good shape, and another who, should she go on to Worlds, would be very competitive.
Yeah, I'm sure she would do it well for sure. We'll go to our junior bikini class. So at 23 and under. And as Finn mentioned earlier on in this episode, like this was like bikini as a whole was quite a quite a standout. Number of athletes obviously taking interest within this class as well, and starting off with juniors, and junior bikini was like I say, no showing again another very good standard, particularly in the top three there. And so start going off from third place there, Jasmine Duncan. And it's a tough one with bikini, same as kind of like figure sometimes in terms of nailing the look, not turning up like too conditioned, but overall like that shape is gonna carry you quite far within this class. And Jasmine, yeah, probably the sharpest out of them, I believe so. Not quite as capped off in the delts as the other two athletes there, but yeah, superb conditioning. Then Natalie in second place. Really nice shape to her. Lot of muscle, particularly in the lower half as well. But I think Natalie, our winner overall, just had that best kind of like package overall. Cap delts, good separation towards the quads, through from the knee, small tiny waist, and just flowed very well as well. But I think this was a very, very strong junior bikini class as well, where we do see within some of the, particularly the natural federations, which is a little bit of a shame, less kind of interest through in bikini in comparison to the likes of your PCAs and your two bros and so on. Probably because the people they follow are generally doing it within them kind of classes, so you can kind of understand really. But yeah, hopefully the interest grows for in the likes of the WNBF, UK and so on for the interest in natural bikini athletes. But yeah, rounding off a good top three from our junior bikini class.
Yeah, obviously I was doing a bikini posts yesterday and spoke about this, and Natalie Markova, the winner, also won the overall. For whatever reason, I don't believe she got a pro card. At least the photos I saw of her didn't suggest that she did, and it wasn't in a bio. So I don't know if she did and we just haven't put it on, or for whatever reason she didn't. But she looked brilliant, and going off her bio, if that's correct, I think she says she's won like 27 shows. So she's about as decorated as you can imagine. She's a PCA pro. She won PCA Worlds and PCA Universe, I believe, in a class. Um, so as a junior, she's probably already more decorated than 99% of all open bikini girls. So she's got a very bright future. She's the sort of bikini girl you look at and you think you could win a pro qualifier in the IFBB or NPC. With that sort of look, because as we know, bikini is probably the only one, maybe classic. Sometimes if you're exceptional, where a natural could win an FBB pro card and still remain natural. So I think Natalie has the shape and the frame to do that. Her quads are very good. Again, if she was to add much more size to herself, like she'd be tipping the balance of figure, particularly in a natural federation. Obviously, in like a PCA, she'd still be very much in a bikini, muscularity cap. But remember, obviously, natural criteria is slightly different. Natalie Billings in second, really, really good. I think it was only a second ever show, if memory serves. And Jasmine, again, she's also, I think, only done a couple of shows prior to this, and done very, very well. This was a very, very good junior class, and all three of these girls are going to go on and have very good futures in open bikini, and we could be seeing these three battling again in the coming years because they look all similar height. So we could all be in bikini short or whatever that might be for years to come. So these three might get to know each other quite well. But yeah, another good winner, and the overall winner for bikini in Natalie M, we'll say, just to distinguish between the two. But yeah, really, really decent standard, and like Luke said, it's the bikini for me was, from all the way through. We're going to go on to the short, tall, and masters classes. Or I don't know if it was a masters class, but really, really fantastic across the board. As good a standard as I've ever seen. So yeah, credit to these girls and credit to the sport. It's getting more popular. More girls are getting into the sport via bikini. It's a slightly more accessible category because obviously, you can do it a lot younger. You don't need as much muscle mass compared to like figure or bodybuilding, of course. So it's only it's only going to increase in popularity. And like Luke said, many of these get into it because they'll follow someone from their gym or who they a coach or an influencer, and they'll be bikini, and then it's kind of like, oh, I'll do the show. So the sport just grows through that. So yeah, great to see a good stand across the board.
Now we're through to our open bikini short. And this was again very, very good standard, as mentioned throughout from open bikini. And some athletes all with slightly different strengths throughout from here. I believe our winner first place is one who's also probably there in terms of like up there with like, yeah, pro level, but like tipping the edge of, right, okay, a bit more muscle and you're probably into figure within the natural realm. Over the other natural federations, and even with WNBF, but like, yeah, a lot of muscularity there, good condition, good separation, but lovely shape with it as well. About right on bang enough, like just about enough kind of conditioning as well through. But yeah, held it there very, very well. Up against then Naomi in second place. Lovely shape and flow to her as well. Like in terms of the upper body, like Delt stood out very well as well. Good separation through the quads as well. And then into third place, which was Gabby. And I think really small waist through her. Like I say, like great taper through on her. And overall, like just, yeah, rounding off a good top three. But yeah, all three of these athletes kind of like apples and oranges between them. So probably like a tough one to kind of like judge. But yeah, they all definitely well rounded within the open bikini class for sure.
Yes, Sarah, who was Dean's partner, who won the Grandmasters, unbeatable at this level, I'd say. She won the Heart of England, and as Chris Paul just said on there, he said he looks at her as like, yeah, it's a pro physique. To which, spoiler alert for next week's episode, she was actually handed a PNBA Pro card today at the UKFBA. I saw that update earlier, so well done her. Congratulations. And yeah, I can't see that she was it must have been a very tight decision between her and Natalie in the overall, because like I say, I look at this and think that's a pro bikini athlete, and yeah, another good off season, and she'd certainly be figure, particularly looking at the frame she's got as well. She's got a figure frame. Really good amount of muscle, so you can imagine if she decided to, she wanted to, she could move up a class and go into figure. And like you said with Naomi and Gabby, a little bit smaller, but again, like we said about Sarah's probably as muscular as you can want in a bikini. So that's not a disservice to those two girls, but probably wouldn't have beaten her. But yeah, in terms of condition and presentation, both look really, really good. I believe, because I'm just obviously trying to remember everyone's profile as we've gone through. I think Naomi, this is her first ever show. I think so. Again, just shows to show, like, really good. You've come second to someone who
Pro.
is basically a pro, like in your first ever show. That's not bad going. So yeah, really, really good. And again, another very good top three, and there was some good. I saw a few posts of people who didn't crack the top three, who were very good in their own right and have won overalls before. One girl I know who lives this way, she won the overall at the first timers, and she couldn't even place in it. She just missed on the top three. She came fourth, I think. So this is the caliber we're working with this show.
Yeah, certainly. So, and it continues through as we're into open bikini tall. And as expected, same with male bodybuilding and stuff, and like with some of the taller athletes, they won't look as kind of like as heavily muscled, particularly within the bikini class. But this is where that kind of like shape is highlighted even more within this class, and rightly so with our winner there, Lucia. love the shape in terms of what you're wanting from a bikini girl. Separation pretty granite hard, as hard as you want really for a bikini competitor. A good level of muscularity on frame as well. And I think quite similar between with second and third place as well there. I think third place just had a little bit more muscularity for in the lower half, but more shapely was probably Ida in second place there. But this was quite a tough class to kind of like distinguish between the three of them, because in terms of what one had, the other didn't, and vice versa for all. But I think Lucy standing quite strong there in first place, kind of had the best balance overall of all three of these athletes here. But yeah, again, we had some great athletes missing out on the on some top placings here. Just highlighting again this standard throughout in the show.
Yeah, Lucy, really, really good winner. I believe she won the PCA Midlands a couple of weeks before, so she can mix it with the best. And I think she came second at a two-bro show. So again, she can mix it with the assisted girls and hold her own, which shows the caliber of her and a bit of a different physique to the two other winners. So in the overall, she would have been a lot harder than them two. And again, if she'd won the overall, I'd have been like, yep, fair one. She's very good. So another one, should she go to Worlds, will be very, very difficult to beat. Ida, who is last year, she came second at Europeans in the PNBA. And has placed highly across the board a few times at home in Denmark. And I imagine she'll be doing the Denmark show next weekend for Europeans again in her home country. So, that's the level of someone who Lucy beat. So it's showing you that's how a standard it is. And two very similar physiques. Obviously, Lucy just a touch leaner, probably done it on the day. And Ivona or Iwona are in third. It was her first ever show. And again, I highlighted on her post like the quads really standing out, a lot of muscle in that lower body. So for a debut, that's not a bad showing at all, because the level of the two above you, you're talking about like international caliber athletes. So she goes back, makes a couple of improvements, and she can absolutely climb the ranks here. But yeah, Lucy really, really good, good condition. Again, about as hard as you'd probably want for the class. Without it potentially going against you. But yeah, fantastic, superb, and caps off a really, really impressive bikini portion of the show. Like I said, standard as good as it's ever been.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then we go through and some real standout athletes within the fit body class here as well. And some athletes within here, some you probably like seen before, like leading up to this show, had some good hype behind them. But yeah, overall, this was a wicked top three, and not far off what you see from a top three in the pro lineup, really. And even some like for instance Isabel there placing second wouldn't look out of place within the pro lineup, and like I say, not even taking the win within this class here. But yeah, very, very good fit body class here. Quite similar between fit body and physique in figure, sorry. Obviously it is physique in other federations, sorry. But yeah, quite similar, quite a lot of similarities between the classes from some of these athletes. Amy Smith in third place. Thought she looked great. Very good, like decent level of conditioning, good muscularity through, top to toe, quite balanced. But I think the top two was quite a standout there. Like I mentioned, Isabel Hudson in second place, easily the most muscled out of all three of these, and the heaviest muscled within the class as well. Great conditioning, particularly through the lower half. Probably some of the most impressive I've seen for a female. Obviously, I know there's some in bodybuilding classes that have really brought it this year, like Becky Starr and so on, but not far off that kind of level, which is mega to see. And then we've had our winner in this class, Evelina, which is probably slightly sharper as well. And that's what you're looking for really within this class. And I think that's what kind of like edged her to the win in a well contested class. And there was some very good athletes who was just missing out on top placings within here, but like the top three there is just superb. So it's if you landed in the top three here, you've really cracked it well. But yeah, I think Evelina there, superb athlete and standing out with that conditioning there, and that the separation certainly edged it for the in the eyes of the judges on this one.
Yeah, I said, if we'll get on to obviously the Fit Body Pro class in a few minutes, but Evelina's very similar to the third placed athlete in that. So if she'd won the overall and gained a pro card, she'd have gone into the pro show and potentially pushed for third, which just shows the level she's at. And I think she's only done a couple of shows prior to this. I think she did like a European show somewhere in, I think it was in Prague. From going back through a timeline, she was chuffed a bit. Sent a message to the page when we featured her. Really, really happy with the results, and to beat someone of Izzy's caliber, then she had to be special. And you can see here it was probably just that extra bit of condition that's done it. Probably not size necessarily. But Izzy, as I put in the post, is it's first time we've seen her on a natty stage. I know she did a two-bro show a few weeks ago where she did figure, and she held her own. And I said she's, because I think she's only either just out of a junior or she's still a junior technically. She's comfortably one of the most exciting natural prospects in the ladies' side of the sport, easily. And we've had quite a few this year. We've had Abby, we've had Lucy, we've had quite a few coming through these younger athletes, and Izzy's right up there with them, if not the most impressive. When I saw she'd not won, I was stunned because I was like, who's beating her? And then when I saw the pictures, Evelina is as good as good, clearly. So, yeah, very, very, very good top two. And Amy in third, again, I put on the post, but she needs to drop the calf routine. We need to know what's happening there. Like how we're growing these, because I'd like a pair myself. She's had a great year. She did first timers where she won the overall. She did PCA Naturals where she's won her class, and she's doing PCA British Finals next weekend, and it's her last show. She says she's going to do it again, and she absolutely should. Please do compete again because you're exceptional. So you're a credit for sport, and you've had a fantastic first season in it. So yeah, don't stop, please. Really, really, really good, and a nice person to boot. So yeah, this Fit Body was very, very good. And if you think back to the first year they ran Fit Body in 2021, it's not unfair to say, like, I believe Chelsea won it that year, and I'd not being unfair to say, was she at this standard in 2021? Maybe not in terms of condition, and I'm not slating Chelsea at all. Chelsea's phenomenal. I'm just saying their level has been increased since the category has gained recognition and more people are doing it. So yeah, fantastic top three. Potentially the women's class of the day, I'd argue. I think probably was. And there was a good few athletes who missed out who were equally impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And one to mention there, it's like with Isabel, I know she did figure before and mentioned obviously with that in a non-tested show, and thought it should be too hard for her and being in a tested show to do figure. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where she would have fallen if she did do figure within the classes there, because another heavily contested class again. Then we'll go through into his men's physique class, starting with the masters, so over 40 men's physique. And And with this class, well, with the Masters Men's Physique, you either get loads of them or not quite as many. I think they were a little bit shorter in competitors this year. I'm not too sure why this is. I think Masters classes have been a little bit kind of like short in numbers throughout the year, particularly in bodybuilding. Yeah, nevertheless, some good athletes within this class here. Going with our winner, Boyden, in first place. Just yeah, in terms of his good arms, good separation between the delts into tricep there as well. Obliques and like abs, very nice and tight. But I think Mark in second place there was quite sharp, but in terms of like structure wise and shapely, not quite as shapely as the winner there. Whereas it's very shape dependent within men's physique. And then Andrew Taylor in third place. Bubbly physique, but not quite as hard and conditioned as the other two athletes in first and second here. But yeah, rounding off a decent Masters class here.
Yeah, like you say, it's been a little bit shorter in terms of like numbers in some of the shows, but no, be done, by done. Apologies if I got that wrong. Really standout winner. I couldn't have really seen him being toppled in this particular lineup. Mark and Andrew in second and third, very good. Just he just a little level above. And I don't particularly think he'd have been far away from the overall winner, although the overall winner is untouchable, and would have been untouchable. But in any other year, he probably would have been a right in the middle of that mix if it had not been the year, obviously, who we're going to go on to appeared and did the show. So yeah, fantastic for him. It looked fantastic, and a good top three for Masters Men's Physique, because again, sometimes this can be a little bit hit and miss, the standard in previous years, but this is a really strong top three, and Andrew in third, in most years probably wins the British. He's just come up against a tough old class in here. So yeah, another good one to kickstart the men's physique portion.
Yeah, and then we move through into open men's physique short, and here we have some heaps of muscle within this class as well. Particularly to have an athlete of Solomon's class there and picking up third place with the muscularity he has, that just highlights the standard within this class. But I think our winner within this class, just in terms of his shape and structure, balance, and what you look for from a men's physique competitor, just stands out. Siu Nam Champ, in taking the win on the day. In terms of his structure, particularly throwing this side pose, very similar, not quite as dominant as Kez is, but like in terms of his structure, it's not too far off. With having them like really good delts and arms, obliques like tying in well and hits that side pose. Just quite similar, not exactly bang on the same. But yeah, some similarities there for sure. Sebastian, super sharp there as well. Obviously it's hard to differentiate between some of the athletes when some are like front on and look a bit more blockier to this kind of like side on, where posing plays a massive role within men's physique, which is clear to see because you can look a lot bigger than someone who is a lot bigger than you just because of your posing itself. But yeah, I think the look Sebastian brought, he was super sharp. Good level of fullness throughout. Solomon, like really well developed midsection, nice and bubbly. Looks like he's got a great set of legs on him as well. Through them shorts, look like they're bursting through on them shorts as well. But yeah, I think rounding off a very good top three. But in terms of like men's physique, what you're looking for like a structure, like our winner definitely highlighting it there with the great taper, tiny waist, like massive delts, and then big arms. Like it's just tied off a good package for a men's physique athlete here.
Yeah, so he's on Instagram. refers to himself Jason. So Sue Nam or Jason, whichever you prefer, mate. Really, really good. He came 5th in this show 2 years ago, and that was a lineup, as I highlighted on in a post, that the top 3 all became pros that year. So you can see the standard that he was up against, and he's actually a Masters. He could technically be in the Masters because he did the Masters today at the UKFBA. So he'd have been, him against Bearden would have been quite an interesting one. Really, really lovely shape. He's done 2 bros shows before. He's a quite a decorated guy. I think I might be incorrect. If I am, apologies. I want to say he's won a UKDFBA overall as a qualifier. I think he won the Southern overall. I might be wrong, so if I am, apologies. But he's been at the British level for his last time competing, did very well, and for him to now get first British titles, really, really, really good for him. Very happy to see it. Solomon in 3rd, yeah, absolutely. A lot of muscle, huge potential, and he was another one who did the first timers and won his class. And obviously on that day came up against Kojo, who was given a pro status that day. So in the overall, so I imagine was not going to be toppled that day. And yeah, Sebastian in 2nd, absolutely. That's a kind of physique where you're like, yeah, that's probably giving him a pro card on a normal day. So for him to come 2nd just shows how good Jason was. Fantastic physique. And a really, really good top 3. And the men's physique, as with the bikini, was deep lineups, people not placing who were very good. Fantastic overall.
Yeah, very, very good. Top 3 within there for sure. And then same again here. When we're coming through into our open men's physique medium, and some athletes here, particularly I know Finley Cartwright in 3rd place, competed again and came 2nd at the UKDFBA today. So shout out to you, Finley. In a very good, I believe he's a junior as well, because I think he was in the junior class against Leo. Very good 2 junior athletes there for the men's physique as well. But yeah, like coming top 3 within this class, very good, because yet again we've had some great athletes missing out on some good placings here. But yeah, men's physique, particularly in WNBF, you get a good, like a huge amount of athletes and interest towards that, and you'll get some great athletes missing out on top spots because there's just that many of you. Like you can't all place within the top 5 or the top 3, unfortunately. And we're seeing that there, like in terms of like Peter in 2nd place, like in terms of great structure on him, like tiny waist, like nice big lats on him, like bubbly chest, delts, like really, really great taper on him. But then up against like Simon or Simone, like that's a phenomenal package for a men's physique athlete. Super wide clavicle width, good midsection, great taper, and just looks probably probably the tallest out of the 3 athletes, unless he took a slight step further forward, but it just shows a little bit more dominance within that shot. And yeah, super look, and overall really, really good. Top 3, standard as expected. He's definitely up there. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say Simon or Simon came over from France again, another great international athlete, and he was actually one of the 2 awarded a pro card, but he didn't win the overall. So we'll go on to who did in a second. So clearly he was deemed good enough, and then he went to place 5th in the pro show, beating a few very good British pros and international pros. So yeah, that's the level he's at. So for Peter and Finley, 2nd and 3rd here, it's no shame at all. Like Peter in his 2nd ever show, coming 2nd here, fantastic. He won the overall at the PCA first timers. Looked amazing that day. Has got tighter, and he did win his class today at the UKFBA. So again, we're seeing the athletes caliber, and like you said, Finley came 2nd in juniors. For whatever reason, we didn't have junior men's physique at this show. Probably not enough entrants. They might have voted with Finley. So he was thrown in with the big boys, and obviously coming third in this lineup is no shame. And like you say, he took a close second today at the UKFBA in his rightful class. So he's got a bright future. Peter just 3 shows in, he's got an overall, a second place to a pro, and a British title. That's not bad going for your first 3 shows. So yeah, credit to him. But yeah, Simon, fantastic, very good. Like amateur wise, you don't see too many better. So yeah, I'm very impressed with him. He's got a look that I know has been rewarded at like a pro level in WNBF. So at Worlds, I think within his own height class, he could be very dangerous, because obviously the pro class at this show was just all heights. There were no height differences. So when he's put in his own medium class, you could see how he could be a top 2 or 3 pro at Worlds comfortably.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, as highlighted there, just a standout athlete, and yeah, rightly deserved with pro status on the day for Simon or Simon. And men's physique tall yet again. Another, and this is just just a freaky physique. And David, an athlete we've seen before, and every time we see him, he's just like, you're still blown away, because it's like, what is that like? How does one possess that physique? It just, yeah, super bubbly physique. Really sound guy as well, which makes it even better. Bubbly physique, heaps of muscle, but like has that granite, like hard, like conditioning with it. Shapely, great taper on him. He's got legs on him as well, but just, yeah, an absolute standout men's physique athlete. And normally, like, just, yeah, front, side, back, they're all strong for him. Like it's exactly what you want, really. And it's fair to say he was just quite a clear cut winner here. Unfortunate for the other 2 athletes, you're up against David, and you're like, right, okay, fighting for that second place. And yeah, Daffer, Rob, I've definitely butchered that. I do apologise. But coming in second place, strong look, super tight midsection, good capped off delts there as well, and just done enough to edge past Joe in third place there, which has really good shape on him. Just not as sharp as not as sharp as the other 2 athletes here, but I think quite a standout there is David. And as expected, every show he kind of got into his generally walking home with the overall there. But I think he still doesn't quite yet know how good he actually is. Quite a humble athlete, just loves training, loves competing, and it's he's just genetically made and blessed to do this. But yeah, very, very good athlete.
Yeah, I think he's won overall in every show he's done.
No
That
other-
is, yeah, that isn't an international show, because oh no, he did. No, because he won amateur overall at PNBA World. So I think he's won the overall at every show he's ever done. Because he won the 2 bros overall earlier this year. He won the MBW overall, won PNBA Worlds amateur overall, and then came second or third as a pro. I believe. Like, yeah, he's never not won an overall, which this is the level he's at. So yeah, obviously Simon in the last class, he came up against David, and David won his pro card, won the overall, and then came 4th in the pro show, and was not miles away from the top 3, realistically. And with a little bit more prep time going into Worlds, should he go to Worlds, he could reverse that. Absolutely. So yeah, he's a freak. Like, you just don't get athletes like him too often. He's one of the best, if not the best, in the country. We've got some ridiculously good men's physique athletes.
Pro world,
We've got,
Josh Coggan.
yeah, we've got Josh Ortiz, who's an IFBB pro, who doesn't look out of place in IFBB pro shows. We've got Javane, who he won everything. He did David, but 2 years ago he won absolutely everything. His first go. we've got David, we've got Kojo, we've got Case, we've got Charlie, we've got David Langsdale, we've got Josh Coghran. And if I missed anyone, it's my apologies. Like we've got a real good depth of talent at men's physique level, and the pros like is stacked, and that's why the WNBF did do a pro show, of which will be, I think, for next class we feature, because there was that many British pros that they want to feature. They want to give them a platform, and it was the first pro show that they've done. While they've been operating in WNBF UK, and they're going to do more, and whether they expand that to bodybuilding and other classes, was yet to be seen. But yeah, fantastic, and for Daffa and Joe, just unlucky chaps. Like you know, you've come up against a ridiculously good guy, and you know Joe won the Heart of England quite comfortably, and you know he's come third here, and that doesn't mean that's a negative. Like Joe is very good. David is just out of this world, and obviously Daffa is a very, very good international athlete and similar physique to Simon. And you could see how in another day, you know, he's a comfortable tall winner and probably will win many shows. You just don't beat David. You just don't. And I hate to say that, but yeah, I'm sorry. No one at amateur level beats David. He just no.
Yeah, that's it. And it's crazy. And I was just checking there when I was scrolling up. I'm like, it's crazy when you look at David's physique. I was just checking. I was like, did they do him? So we've done there's a tall, there's a medium and a short. David's that big that he's a tall and he looks like a short because he's got, it's ridiculous. Like, admittedly, yeah, he's not the tallest of these athletes here and in the tall class, but he fits in the tall category and he looks short. He looks probably shorter than me just because he's got that much muscle.
Unless they've mislabeled him, which they could have, because I'm sure he's not tall. Like not throwing shade, because I'm sure Pete.
He's not much taller than you, is he? He might just fall into tall.
Maybe they've mislabeled it.
Maybe this is tall. I'm sure he's medium.
Because I think Peter's over 6'4".
Yeah, sure I think this is surely the wrong way around.
Yeah, because like no shade, David. I'm just yeah, I'm sure you're
5'2" really, but
yeah. Yeah, maybe it's been mislabeled, but if not, still, David, you're unbeatable at amateur level. That's the summary.
Yeah, and you're that big, you look 4 foot, mate. But yeah, pro men's physique here. And as we've mentioned earlier, I mean, all of these athletes are phenomenal. And as much as I'm not one to be like super wowed by like men's physique, but when I am, I'm like, fucking hell, these guys have really, really brought it. And all three of these athletes, like fucking yeah, hats off, look phenomenal. Third place, Charlie Brisbane, like just all three of them got heaps of muscle, but they've got like that quality muscle where you can see the separations there. Very good for out. I believe that the top two just have a slight better like midsection control. Not sure if it's just getting into this shot in particular. But yeah, all three. If you want to see what a pro standard natural men's physique athlete looks like, then you're looking at three of the best here. And then our second place off Harmony in second place, that lovely taper on him. Not quite as bubbly as David, my winner of the day there, but yeah, super sharp. Similar in terms of that kind of like sharp look as what we've seen mentioning today from Leo Woods in his like midsection. Not the bubbliest of guys, but like super kind of like crisp in that midsection and deeply separated. I'm sure he'll love that as a comparison as well. But yeah, like dealt into that like small tiny waist just looks very, very good. And all of these athletes, they all have legs as well. They've got to carry that through. But I think yes, our winner there stand out. Great separation from delts to pecs. Vascular as hell through his chest. Bubbly thick chest as well. midsection. Just a phenomenal look, and yeah, rightly so, being crowned the pro winner and walking home with a grand extra in his bank to put in his bank account as well. So yeah, some of these athletes, like if you're looking towards it, you can still get rewarded for competing as a natural athlete. So yeah, very good pro men's physique class, and yeah, rightly so. Understand why they've put on this pro men's physique show, and I'm sure it'll get more attraction as we get more pros leading towards it. This show's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and great to see actually good prize money being given. I know people might look at it and say, but remember we've got to think that the IFBB is a multi-billion-dollar company. They can afford to hand out like 10 grand, 5 grand, but a grand, and 600 and 400 for second and third place. That's pretty good prize money for. And we've seen with the WNBF, they've been really putting actually effort into handing out good prize money. And I think they're really trying to increase that side of things to then make the pro shows more competitive, to make them more people stick to, natural pro status and things like that. So, yeah, really, really good to see. Because I've seen it before when not, other pro shows in this country, the pro winners getting not a lot of money, and you're just like, well, we're not doing it for money, but when you get to pro status, obviously it's a nice bonus. So yeah, £1,000 for a first place is not a bad thing. For David, who he only turned pro the month before in France, at WNBF France, he won the overall. So for a pro debut to be winning and beating these level of guys is fantastic. Like I say, Osman, or apologies if I've got that wrong, he came second in 2022 at Worlds as a pro. So to come second here like that just shows David's level, and that's ridiculously impressive to win your pro debut against someone who came second at Worlds as a pro. And Charlie again won Worlds as an amateur 2 years ago. He actually, first time I ever saw him, he was a bodybuilder. So he has got a pair of legs. You're correct. He's a fucking big bodybuilder as well. Like, he won a couple of overalls. He won a MPA overall. That was the first time I ever saw him, and he was ridiculous. Shit tons of muscle, as you can see. And I think he's just probably fought, like, within the pro ranks of men's physique, or unless he got an injury, I don't think he did. That maybe affects his leg training, but he's got a very good pair of legs, and he's got a shit ton of muscle, and he'd outsize a lot of bodybuilders. So he's made tons of improvements since he was an amateur. When he won Worlds, and that's where he won his pro status. So for a pro debut to come third in this lineup is amazing. Looking forward to seeing what he does at Worlds, because he'll be obviously within his height class. He could be a champion. He could win the Pro Worlds, of which we've only had a couple of men's physique guys do that. Of course, Josh Croggan with the overall last year, which is he did win it. He was the overall, didn't he?
Was the overall winner, yeah.
First ever, I believe, which is amazing. So yeah, fantastic. What a top three. And again, David and Simon were fourth and fifths, and just shout out some of the guys who didn't place, like Case, Kojo, who has got the best back double in all of bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding. I'll just say that outright. David Langsdale, he's done show after show. He did Dubai. He's in Spain this weekend, so all the best to him. He's doing Germany in a couple of weeks. He keeps knocking on the door, and he's a great pro. He just what a lineup this is. So yeah, a super pro division. And for those who were still there, gone midnight, you'd have been in for a treat. And it's great to see this caliber of athlete on a British stage, because we don't see enough pro classes in this country, and I think we should do more of it. And I hope that because of a class like this doing so well, it becomes more popular. And we, could we get to a point in a couple of years' time where the WNBF UK has pro divisions in all of their categories, and maybe does them on like day two, I don't know, and does a 2-day event, or does a 2-day event and does bikini and physique in one day with the amateur and pro, and then bodybuilding and figure the next day. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for Steph, but that'd be great to see. You know, because then more people are just going to do it, aren't they? Like, more people are going to rock up to just try and tread the path that these lads have done.
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately everyone wants to see the best of the best and see what the pro caliber is like, and what you're aspiring to achieve, for many athletes. Not to say that it's achievable. Let's be honest, for most it's not. Like, we're not most of us aren't going to get there for pro stars. But that's what you want to aspire towards. So it's definitely good to actually see that, and see it in the flesh, whether you're competing in the amateur men's physique at the start of the day and you're waiting around for the pro at the end of the day. Definitely be inspiring, particularly for some of the younger athletes as well. Then we go through into our pro women's fit body physique class here. And yeah, phenomenal to see this as well. Shout out to our own, obviously, UK's own Chelsea Doherty in second place. Very good very strong top three here as well. Believe there were six or seven athletes overall in this one. Yeah, I think it was around that. But yeah, Chelsea definitely stand out in terms of for conditioning wise as well there. Sharpest seen it yet. Winner there, just phenomenal. Just touch more muscle. Slightly bit larger frame on her as well, and just a super impressive look that as well. Very well muscled, good separation throughout. Strong midsection as well. Quite sharp in the midsection. And then Nina in third place. Good separation through for her. Great taper, just not as muscled as the other class, but it's awesome to see like a great standard and what pro women's fit body is at the top of the game. And as we mentioned before, two of the amateurs within the fit body class, they certainly wouldn't look out of place within this class. Not to say they'd be up there within the top three, but I'm sure they wouldn't be too far off there. So yeah, it's that's a little bit of a mention to keep going, because certainly not far off some of these athletes.
Yeah, fantastic way to finish our episode here. Like, Chelsea, massive improvements. She's won a PCA overall a couple of weeks ago, which is no mean feat in figure, because you know you're going up against some big assisted girls there. So credit to her. If she's doing PCA finals, she could very well win PCA Pro status next week if she's doing it. But at World, she's going to be in in the mix with Sophie. Probably battle again, because I don't believe they do fit body height classes. They might if there's enough, but I don't think they normally do. But so I imagine her against Anne and Sophie. Gustafsson next month at Worlds probably do battle again and could turn the tide. Sophie's one of those we saw at Worlds last year. She won quite a few trophies that day, because she did amateur. She was already a pro, I think, in physique or figure, and then she did the amateur on the other way. I think she did like amateur physique and then won the overall, and then won the pro show, I believe, or came second in the pro show. So she's as good as it gets, like at this level. She's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And she only just won her WNBF Pro card last month at WNBF Belgium. And off the back of that, because Steph was judging, I think Steph asked her to come and do this show. So Chelsea might not be thanking her for that, thinking, "Oh, chuffing hell, like you've just robbed me of a grand there." But obviously, it's all good if the show caliber is up. And Nina in third, she's a new pro making a debut, so a great showing for her from France. She won her card at the French show a couple of weeks before, so fantastic top three, really, really good. But yeah, Sophie, I think it's fair to say, like, on her day is as unbeatable as it gets. I want to say she's done an NPC Pro qualifier, and she wasn't miles away in figure, and that just shows her caliber. Like because at that level, you're hanging with some big assisted physiques. So that's where she can hang. I'm sure she placed top 2 or 3 pro qualifier in the NPC, like in Denmark or not. Maybe not Denmark. I don't think they've got one, but I think in Norway she did last year or something like that. So yeah, like she's phenomenal, and she will probably win Worlds. I think it's fair to say, but Chelsea's got time to turn that around.
Yeah, absolutely, and a great way to kind of cap things off with our pro women's fit body class here as well. Briefly, quick mention and scan through, as we mentioned before, from our overalls, because I know particular Odonayo watches this and obviously listens to what both me and Finn have to say, which is awesome to hear as well. So yeah, congrats on the overall golden era. Having that as well, that must be nice to put up on the trophy cabinet, along with many other trophies you've got this season. Another shout out to Thomas Lee at our overall under 23, which they decided upon on the day. Phenomenal look this as well, and it wouldn't surprise me if he actually takes an overall throughout in this season. And then newly crowned pro Theo Golab, as we mentioned earlier. Super happy for him. And then we've got into the ladies classes, the overall bikini, Natalie M. So I know we had Natalie placing first and second. So Natalie Markova taking the overall bikini. Then overall men's physique is David. It's quite a standout there. But then, yeah, we've got overall women's Samantha, which will wrap her show off. But yeah, as always, guys, we appreciate you all for listening. Appreciate all the likes, shares, comments, tags, and all that. Apologies on the solo one last week. For those of you at the UKDFBA over this weekend, we'll get this up for tomorrow. So if you're backstage or whatever, you can watch this prior to leading up to the show. Hopefully we see some of you there as well. But yeah, as always, thanks for listening. We will catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.